Hello, my name is Alan Wanjohi, a lawyer at MMS Advocates LLP, and thank you for joining us today for the continuation of our employment series. And today I'm here with my colleague Maggie, who will be asking me various questions to facilitate the discussion. So welcome, Maggie.
Thank you, Alan. Now, what are the various types of employment contract prevalent in today's market?
Okay, so in today's market, there are mainly two types of employment contracts. And the first one is the contract for an unspecified period of time, which basically means that the duration or the term of the contract is not determined or is not for a fixed period. So that means that the contract is sort of open-ended. But a particular thing about this contract is that it has a termination clause, which sets out the manner and conditions in which the contract and consequently the employment may be terminated. The second type of contract is the fixed term contract. And as the name suggests, this is one where the duration of the contract is determined and is fixed. Under this, there are also other types of contracts which have a similar nature to employment contracts, but do not quite fall under that scope. And a good example of such contracts is a contract for independent services from an independent contractor, and a contract for casual labor from a casual laborer. But these, as I said, do not fall under the scope of employment contracts, but share a bit of similarities with employment contracts.
Okay. What are the basics of an employment contract?
So the basics of an employment contract are provided for under Section 10 of the Employment Act of Kenya 2007. And some of these particulars that have to be in every employment contract are the descriptive details of both parties. So in this case, the name, address, sex, and all of those other personal details of both the employer and the employee. Another thing that's also supposed to be there is the duration of the contract, if applicable, the salary or the remuneration, the benefits that will be due to the employee under the contract, the place of work, the hours of work, and such other information. Some employment contracts also will include additional sort of information such as disciplinary measures or codes of conduct. But here it's dependent on the type of employer and on the number of employees as well, because under the Employment Act, if an outfit has a workforce of more than 50 employees, then they're required to have by law certain sort of codes of conduct and all of that. So like I said, it depends with the particular employer and the number of employees under the outfit.
Okay, and what are the various statutes or policies that govern the employer-employee relationship in Kenya?
Okay, so there are quite a few. And the main one is the Employment Act of Kenya 2007, which basically governs the relationship between the employer and the employees. There's also, perhaps we should have started with the Constitution of Kenya, because it contains certain provisions about employment and about labor, like the right to fair labor practices and all of that. Another statute that governs employment is the Work Injury Benefits Act, which talks about work injuries and the benefits that will be accrued to employees in such a scenario, if such a scenario ever occurs. There's also the Labor Institutions Act, which establishes the various institutions that deal with labor disputes and all of that, and such other acts.
Thank you, Alan. That will be all for today.
You're welcome, Maggie. Thank you also for joining us today. Be sure to catch us next week, as we will be dealing with another different legal topic. So thank you.